is never good when somebody gets released. You get these awful people online almost celebrating on occasion, and honestly, you are terrible individuals. Go and have a long look in the mirror. Sometimes WWE doesn't help because the way superstars are shown the door, and my gosh, it's just not right. So let's give such folk their chance to fight back because yeah, I am Simon Miller, and these are the wrestlers fired in the worst way possible. Number 11, Emma. I will never get over that time when Emma went to Emelina and then went back to Emma gimmick. The rumor has always been that WWE changed their mind because they decided that Emma wasn't able to play this, but so what? That's the job. Figure out a way to make it work. Doing this just took all of Emma's momentum away. She was a cult hero down in NXT too, helping push women's wrestling forward in WWE, which is what made what happened here even worse. Emma was fired after being accused of shoplifting in Walmart. Even if this had been the facts, WWE acting so fast felt a little unreasonable. And yeah, soon after it turned out it was a total misunderstanding. Nobody had been sneaking items out of a store. Emma just forgot to scan one thing at a self-checkout. Thankfully, WWE did reevaluate and it was sorted, but you know the internet. The initial wave of madness was awful and the rest after that was far quieter. That's no good. Just take an extra day. Number 10, Mr. Kennedy. Kennedy, every time. So one day we need a proper post-mortem into this one because there's still so many questions. You must know this too if you are a young wrestling fan. At one point, Kennedy was the guy. It was all there. It was clear he's going to be pushed to the moon after he won the Money in the Bank briefcase, and apparently was going to be Vince McMahon's illegitimate son. It's a stupid angle, but in terms of a spot on the card, yeah, you're going to be taken care of. The first bump was a shoulder injury, which sent WWE into a panic, which is when they had Edge beat Kennedy for the briefcase. We soon learned that was a mistake. Ken was good to go in a few weeks. We didn't need to do any of this. That sort of put a dampener on things, and after Kennedy had a match with Randy Orton and dropped him on his head, boom, Ken went and got released. It really was a huge surprise, but the kicker may have been that Ken was also caught up in the signature pharmacy scandal. He wasn't alone, but it left Kennedy in a bad spot. The man was never even brought back for a round 2. Number 9, Finlay. After being brought in following the demise of WCW in 2001, Finlay was just the man. You may not have known this from the TV, but behind the scenes, this dude was just a help workhorse. He went out there to assist everyone and everything. Finlay was also integral to helping the women's division finally get the respect they do deserve, and throughout all this, he was still working in the ring and getting people over. One such person was world champion The Miz in the build to WrestleMania 27, as Fit decided he wanted this man to get some serious heat. Therefore, he suggested at a house show The Miz should cut off the American national anthem, and yeah, it worked. People were livid. The issue being there were representatives from the US Army National Guard in attendance. They didn't find that so funny when you put your life on the line for the country. They were also a major partner of WWE, so somebody's head was gonna have to roll. And it was indeed Finlay who got fired for this decision. He was rehired a year later, so I'd assume this was essentially a PR exercise. But when you think what other people have done and didn't even get a slap on the wrist, if Fit was pissed, he'd have every right to be. Know of any other firings that did not go the way they should have done? Please do leave me a comment below before you like the video, share the video. Why not subscribe? Number 8, CM Punk. The chain of events triggered by CM Punk leaving WWE in 2014 is nuts, as are all the events leading up to it. Don't act like it just came and went. It was huge. You can see the differences in his approach to wrestling because Punk clearly needed a break back then and couldn't even get one when he was hurt. Today it sounds like he's begging to be used more, but the company understands less is more. That's good. It's way better. Now, of course, CM walked out before a Raw show in January as he couldn't take it anymore, but WWE still needed to give him his official walking papers. And when did they send them? The day that Punk got married. I don't care who you think was right or wrong. Don't do that. It created even more bad blood, and as we know, that took a decade to fix with a detour through AEW first. And sure, some people will say CM Punk did just get up and leave, but even then, don't ruin someone's special day. You have to go out of your way to do that. There's never a need. Number 7, Mickie James. This one was terrible and everybody agreed, even those responsible. For starters, Mickie James was released from WWE in 2021 like she wasn't an all-timer, and then man did we hit rock bottom. The firing was so sudden, her belongings she wasn't able to get were sent back to her in a garbage bag. I mean, come on. Rightfully so, Mickie talked about this publicly, and thankfully WWE did say sorry. You're damn right. Even if you've only been with a company a few weeks, you don't deserve that. And this was flipping Mickie James. Others came forward too and said they suffered the same fate, and it's a huge reason the new regime is far better. Apparently new rookies get cheat sheets in case legends are backstage, so they can approach them in the right way. I much prefer that. Don't act like these individuals don't have our respect. Number 6, the Good Brothers. I say this in the nicest way possible. Not entirely sure Luke Gallows and Arn Anderson are that worried when they do get let go, because nobody is better than earning money than them. They're basically geniuses. This one was a bit lowbrow though, because after a long chat with Triple H in 2019, the Good Brothers were convinced to resign and not go to AEW. The tipping point was this idea that they'll always be part of the WWE family. There was also a promise of stability and job security, which in wrestling is huge, and then they got let go in 2020. Good grief. Now, yes, I'm sure this tied into the ongoing war between Paul Levesque and Vince McMahon. Doesn't make it any better, because in hindsight, you're just lying to people. Thankfully, it worked out as Gallows and Anderson was soon back and made a bunch more cash along the way. They are just the greatest. We could all learn a thing or two from them. Number 5, Matt Hardy. A somewhat infinite story, but still horrible when you break it right down. Essentially, Matt Hardy got fired because Edge was having an affair with his girlfriend Lita. Talk about kicking a man when he's down. It meant Hardy had to go through double pain, and sure, he reacted publicly, but we can all understand that. We've all been dumped. It ruined you. Fans agreed as We Want Matt chants ran throughout arenas across the country until WWE had no choice. Couldn't ignore this. They had to bring him back. Fair play to Hardy and Edge too, because they even ran a program off the back of this. That can't have been easy, and while we didn't book Matt how we should have done during that, at least he was employed. The rest of this was not cool. Number 4, Mike and Maria Kanellis. This one too just left a bad taste in your mouth. Not sure what anybody was thinking. But Mike and Maria were part of the 2020 releases, and this is how WWE did it. They phoned one, fired them, and then asked to pass the handset across and fired the other one. Talk about disrespect. Maria was also months postpartum, and Mike had just rebuilt his life following some personal issues. I get that doesn't guarantee you a job, but why can't we just take a second and use our brains? It just underlined the cold conveyor approach to talent that many had spoken about over the years, and sure, it's a job at the end of the day. Doesn't mean we can't just be a little bit nicer though. Let's never forget that these people are still human beings. Number 3, Jackie Gayda and Charlie Haas. Jackie and Charlie were fired from WWE in 2005, and even compared to the rest of the list, it was pretty harsh. It happened mere days after they came back from getting married and going on their honeymoon. It was always going to be tough, as Gayda had won Tough Enough before becoming a manager instead, and Haas was a great tag team wrestler. Thing is, we know how Vince McMahon felt about that sort of wrestling. You were never going to be considered a priority. Thankfully, they did find work after this, but when two people have made memories for a lifetime, maybe don't let them go right after that and sour it all. I mean, give it a month at least. We can all do that. Number 2, Dawn Marie. So Dawn Marie got released from the WWE in 2005 when she was pregnant. That could be the whole entry. Don't do that. What difference could it possibly make? As we know, not having a job when needing to afford medical bills will totally change your life. And Dawn wasn't just some tag-along. She had made her own impact in wrestling. That's why WWE brought her in to begin with. She had a name. Not sure anybody could justify this, made even more accurate in the sense we wouldn't do it today. The backlash would be crazy. You're damn right it should be too. Number 1, the pandemic firings. The world had stopped. Wrestling was hanging on by a thread. Nobody knew what was going to happen tomorrow. So, of course, WWE fired a lot of wrestlers. It was en masse too, which made it even tougher, and all in, over 100 employees were shown the door as WWE cited budget cuts due to COVID-19. And sure, they weren't alone, but if your hearts didn't go out to these folk, my word, you have to be Emperor Palpatine. Many videos were released afterwards too, and we saw emotion all over the place. This was really hard to take. We want wrestling to be a community, and this was the opposite. The real kicker was trying to get another job was going to be impossible for obvious reasons, so we had just thrown people out in the cold. And I get no company owes anybody anything, but at the same time, this was basically a human race apocalypse moment. I feel like we could have just banded together a little bit more. So when you do sum this one up, just a bad day for wrestling.